Welcome, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are back to a multi-platform service. We want to first share and explain the pronouns that we use. In our tradition, we only say we when referring to ourselves. Because we means we with Ilya, means we with creation and the great mystery, and all the living beings, the standstill nations that are outside. In our belief, when we speak in that I and that me, our world gets very small, and we get very focused on this person and these needs, and everybody else disappears, and we forget our connection to creation. So we speak in the we all the time to remind us so that we don't forget the we that are on Zoom, and the we that are on the reservations, and the we all around the world, and the people in Ukraine, and the people in Russia, and all the places where there is so much trouble in our world. That's we. So we wanted to explain that because you're going to hear us speak in the we, and people are often asking, how many of you are coming? All of us are coming. So our pronouns are we, us, and all, because all of us are coming. Just like each of you have helpers around you, we have helpers around us. The whole point is that we're trying to create a circle and a community where we all meet in the ethers to create a circle of ancestors. And in that place, we all meet together with the same heartbeat, the same love, and the same peace that we hope to share with each other. We, therefore, are Dr. Maria Michael, and we are joined by Ilya Kowalczyk and Carmen Sandim on piano, and Mary Stackpole, our beautiful hymn singer. We will also have recorded music from the same artist as our welcoming music, our Carlos Nakai, who is a famous Diné flautist. Our tech team, Deborah Mensch on audio, Boone Kowalczyk on cameras, Eric Williams on Zoom. They're our behind-the-scenes support, which allows us to look good in the circle of life and community. They are really our foundation. We also want to honor and recognize those who are choosing their pronouns of self-identification. This practice may be unfamiliar or perhaps even confusing, but it gives us the opportunity to know each other better, to live with a greater open-heartedness. And of course, you are the ones who make this beloved community. As we say the welcome words today, we invite those of you on Zoom to shift into the gallery mode, if you haven't already done so, and scroll through the screens so that you can experience the beauty of this congregation, while those of you who are in person look around and witness the amazing beings that surround you. We read because we are not very tech-oriented, so we are doing the best to do it this way. We like to feel closer to you. But our memory is not perfect, to say the least. So we have to refer to this to be able to make sure that we're saying things in the correct way that honors all of you. All of you are welcome here today. In all of the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes coming together, you are welcome here today. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here today. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here today. In all the ways you make your living and the places that you are from, you are welcome here today. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here today. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here today. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. We acknowledge the land surrounding us. It is the stolen territory of the Southern and Northern Arapaho and the Cheyenne people. Many tribes roamed this world, this Colorado area freely. The Kiowa, the Mexica, the Lakota, the Dene, the Comanche, and the Apache. It is important to know that these ancient civilizations existed, and they still exist. We just came back from ceremonies in the ruins of Chaco Canyon and areas where actual ceremonies are actually still being held with the ruins that are from 600 AD. Spirit never dies. Spirit never dies. We may leave these bodies, we may travel on and help from the other side, but spirit never dies. It just takes a moment to reconnect. We commit ourselves to being in a center for spiritual explanation and justice making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you are new here, we are glad you found us, and hope that in community, whether you're joining us in person or virtually, you can experience the warmth and the love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. Those in person can find our newcomer form on the QR code in the back of the hymnal or stop by the welcome table in our foyer. Our children would laugh as we read this because we can't figure out how to do a QR code. But we're working on it. Never stop learning. Finally, if any new visitors on Zoom would like to introduce themselves in the chat, please do so. We would love to know who is among us. Are there any visitors in the sanctuary who would like to introduce themselves by telling us your name and where you live? If so, please stand, raise your hand, get your neighbor, and we'll bring you a microphone. Oh, I forgot it. Wait, it's not on.
Now? Yeah, this is better. I'm Paula Staffeld, and I'm from Broomfield.
Welcome. Sorry, Elia. Do you have to read the Zoom chat? Do you have to read the Zoom chat, people? Okay. Roomies are welcome to stay and chat while being mindful of physical distancing. And as a reminder, any servant participants who take their masks off should have tested negative for COVID this morning. We ask that you keep yours on while in the sanctuary, even while singing. We do this for each other. We would like to speak about this for a moment. On our reservation, we're all still masked. And we have a hard time understanding why people will not wear their masks. It goes back to that concept of I, and people believing I is more important than we. So we are grateful to each and every one of you who are wearing your masks today, and that you wear them out into the world so that none of us become a vector and harm anyone else. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it with us as we light our fellowship chalice. So we can know where all our chalices are. Please write in the chat, chalice lit on. Please say the words along with us as we light our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now we will sing our bowl again, inviting you to draw you deeper into the present moment and this, our beloved community. We have gathered today to remind ourselves, in the deepest sense of the word, that we are creating a circle of community, a place where we are all spokes on the wheel and circle of life. One spoke is not more important than another. Our spokes collaborate together, communicating and weaving our gifts into the circle of life. Without all of us, the circle and wheel of life cannot roll forward. We each are critical in co-creating this circle of all living beings, where there is no separation from spirit. Spirit is always inclusive in all of us at all times, no matter where we are. We invite you at this moment to close your eyes for a moment and feel into the gifts that you believe each of you bring. These gifts are important. They matter. No matter how big, no matter how small, you matter. Your gifts matter. They are given to you by the great mystery and creator. Please know how grateful we are to each of you, and how blessed by creation, the great mystery, to be in the same room and on Zoom and sharing this sacred space at this time. Thank you. Welcome. From the bottom of our heart, we start on this left side and send you all a heartfelt hug and handshake. And say, Ahe. Thank you in Dene. Bilamaye. Thank you in Lakota. Thank you in English. And thank you in whatever other languages you might speak, so that we may all become more educated, more whole, and more open. Aho.
Good morning, everyone. We get to share in some music now. In your teal hymnal, we are going to sing hymn number 1068, Rising Green. Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able, and join with us. Again, the number is 1068.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak. Her sap doth run in my veins. Boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end. My sight
Good morning. Thanks for being here. In the past, I've spoken to you all about the challenges and gifts of my autoimmune disease. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 1999. At the age of 24, I've lived with this for most of my adult life. When flaring, the colitis manifests itself with digestive problems, joint pain, eye sores, and skin lesions. It's just, yeah. For the first 10 years, my care plan, consisted largely of two things. I would ignore the disease and be angry about it. So it was super effective. So denial. One way that I chose to deny this disease was by racing triathlons. By competing in these rigorous events, which consisted of swimming a certain distance, and then biking as fast as you could for a certain distance, and then running as fast as you could for a certain distance, I was able to convince myself that I was fit and healthy. 5 days before my longest race ever, a half Ironman, my body had told me that I could no longer live with this farce. I was training for 20 plus hours a week, and this had taxed my body into a state of deep and profound illness. After a long and difficult conversation, my wife convinced me that I needed to see this race through, if nothing else, to be able to close this chapter of my life. 5 days later, I stepped into the water at the start line. My only goal was to finish the 1.2 mile swim, the 56 mile bike ride, and then the 13.1 mile run. As the starting gun went off, I meandered my way into the water, gently bumping occasionally into fellow competitors as the sun rose over the reservoir. I paused occasionally to gather my bearings and noticed the light glinting off of the mountainside. Eventually, my fingers stroked the sand of the shore, and I completed the first leg of the race. Slipping the wetsuit down to my torso, I smelled the sage and tasted the lake water that was dripping down my face. Volunteers, friends, and family all cheered us on as we raced, in my case, walked to our bikes. I slid my wet feet into my cycling shoes, which was made easier by the baby powder that I had sprinkled onto the shoes. I pedaled away from the transition area, wondering how my body would respond. These Nevada mountains were so much more gray and burnt and barren. Much of the time, I was alone with my thoughts and the quiet humming of my bike's drivetrain. But then suddenly, as I was whizzing along down a gentle downhill, I noticed my maternal grandfather, my closest ancestor, who had died 17 years prior. He was flying along beside me. You may think that this is a strange turn of events, but to me at the time, it wasn't strange at all. He had shown up at a few significant moments of my life. Recognizing his presence, I kept riding and turned to my right and said, "Hey, Pop." And he replied, "Hey there, young fella," which was what he called me. After a pause, I turned to him and I said, "Hey, Pop, why do I have ulcerative colitis?" And he consoled me with, "You just don't get it yet." And I quickly interjected, "Yeah, I know, it's just that and he cut me off, firmly but gently, and saying, "No, Ely, You just don't get it. Tears filled my eyes as I rode on in silence, knowing there was really nothing else that I could do. Shortly, I looked up, and I noticed that it wasn't just my grandfather, that my maternal grandmother was next to me over here, and my other grandparents were above me, and my aunts and uncles were all around. And I widened my gaze even further and saw concentric rings of ancestors, connections, long gone between me and the heavens. Countless angels there, marking the moment. In an instant of profound power, I realized that they were intently focused on me. And I felt their presence and support. Immediately after I made that realization, they each beat their wings and soared to the heavens in an action that made me feel strangely both cared for and independent. They held me up for an instant and left me to pedal along on my own way. I finished the ride. I finished the run. I closed that chapter of my life while opening my mind. You see, during that ride, I came to understand that my path is woven into the universal fabric. The energy of my challenges, my pain, and my successes. It blends into the magic of it all. I realized that I am we. Thank you. Each week we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. For the month of August, the half plate is for Right Relationship of Boulder. And this week, the half plate will go to Right Relationship Boulder's land programs. The land group at Right Relationship Boulder collaborates with Indigenous peoples to broaden their access to lands in the Boulder Valley, to ensure that their input on city, county, and private land use and development decisions, and to welcome their presence in their Boulder Valley homelands. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you are at the fellowship today, please place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you so often do. As our musical reflection begins, we invite you to consider today's reflection question, which is, how are you related to it all? For the work of the fellowship and Boulder Right Relation, in order to bring love, reason, and compassion into the world, we accept these offerings. Thank you.
So we'd like to start with a prayer that was started earlier this morning. And we're going to take off our glasses. In our tradition, glasses can reflect the spirits. So you can join us or not, but we'll do it this way. Donkashila, grandfathers. Unshi, grandmothers. Unshimaka, grandmother earth. Mini Wichoni, sacred water of life. We ask all the elements of air and light. We ask all the ones who swim in the water. We ask all the winged ones. We ask all the Tonka Ayate, the stone nation, all the Petawaka, the fire that burns within us and that burns around on all the altars around the world. We ask all the creepy crawlers, all the standstill people you call the trees. We ask all the four-leggeds and all the two-leggeds to join us at this time, to hear the silent prayers that everyone holds, not only within this sanctuary and the other rooms, but also in Zoom and around the world at this very moment. We ask you, grandfathers and grandmothers, to please listen to these prayers. We know sometimes our prayers are not answered in the way that we ask. We know that you have an eagle's eye view and can see things in ways that we cannot. But we ask that you hear these prayers and that all of you come and join us at this time and support us while we share our hearts, while we share our minds, so that we actually can be, in this very moment, one heartbeat beating at the same rhythm, that rhythm of life, the rhythm of the drum, and the rhythm of the breath, so that there is no separation between us, two-leggeds, and all the other living beings. With you, all of creation, Creator, Great Mystery, Wakatanka, we ask that you help us be with you in that place in our hearts, in this moment. For without you, we are lost. And we ask at this time for those who are lost, who have forgotten how it feels to be with you, that you go to them and send a sign, send a person, send a dragonfly, send something in their time of need at this moment that they're lost. Help them to remember. Help them to remember where we came from and where we will all return. That we are all the same, no matter what the tradition, no matter what the race, no matter what the gender, no matter what the socioeconomic status, no matter what the caste system, we are all the same. We all bleed the same. Help us to remember that we are the same. Aho, Itakyo, I say. We are very much about creating a circle of life and creating a sacred space in all directions. When Reverend Lydia asked us to be a guest speaker for today, we went, what? Really? Stand in the front? We were the kid who liked to sit in the very furthest row in the back of the classroom. And we wondered what would best serve you for us to share. We were so blessed to meet with Ilya on Zoom and talk about the service, all through our nervousness. Yet Zoom didn't quite feel like a real connection. So we asked if we could meet him in person. And we met for tea after he returned home from his trip from visiting family. We were blessed to make sacred space with Ilya. We shared many personal parts of ourselves and each other, both surprised at our ease of vulnerability. We discussed how we might collaborate to recreate the awe we had with each other and what we experienced in our sharing. And we've been working a lot. Me with a lot of questions, Ilya being very patient and gracious. When we open ourselves to honor creation and the great mystery, it becomes easy to feel the deep presence of spirit. It becomes easy and seamless, as if sacred space gets created and there's no sense of time. There is nothing more joyous and indicative of creation and the great mysteries orchestration to bring two people together who don't know anything about each other, move us like chess pieces through the gift of Reverend Lydia, and to just create the energetic shift by being in each other's presence. This lights the path before us in our union as we may walk this journey together. We in this very moment are creating that same sacred space beyond time, beyond this moment. As you bring yourselves into alignment in yourself and open to the spirits who enter this space, through you, your helpers, our helpers, Ilya's helpers, everybody else's helpers, we join in a council gathering of all our ancestors. They listen to our deepest prayers. Some of them may just be too hard to say aloud to anyone, but they listen. They really listen. What wisdom can we open ourselves up to that has been lost even to ourselves? How do we dive deep within ourselves to reconnect to what's been lost within ourselves? Spirit knowledge never dies. Our connection to it may fade as we forget and get distracted, yet creation and the great mystery are always waiting, just waiting, like Ilya said, just waiting for us to get it, just waiting for us so that we can wake up, so that they can love us. They wait for us to make an intention, and then they choose to co-create. When we say things like, well, I think I might be able to, they're like, okay, we'll hang out. They're not ready. But when we're clear with our intention, they come in and say, okay, we got you. Then we set the next intention, we got you. So we have to be clear because they love us so much, they want to co-create with us. What wisdom can we share with others? Can we create this sacred space which allows us to be inclusive with diversity, equity, inclusion, and eco-justice for all living beings with whom we are in contact? What holds me back? What holds you back? Can we create this sacred space of reverence within ourselves and walk out of this magnificent chapels as beacons of light that dispel darkness? It only takes a small candle to light up a dark room. But that dark room could be in our hearts, can be in our minds, can be in our spirits, can be in our bodies. What will it take to wake us up? What will it take to help us surrender to something so much bigger than ourselves that is just waiting for us, just waiting patiently? Some of us are slow learners. We can count ourselves as one of those. So we want to help you understand that no one can control our minds. No one. No one can control them or own them. No one can legislate our hearts, no matter what positions of power they may have. No one can own and force our voices to be silent. Nothing is impossible. And for those of you who text, if you text the word impossible, it is I am possible. That's creation in process. We chose and were sent to Grandmother Earth not to survive. We were chosen and sent here to thrive. That's our birthright. Everyone's birthright. All living beings' birthright. We are who we have been waiting for all of our lives. The next 49 generations, in our tradition it's usually 7. We've decided that's too short. Watching what's happening on the planet, I think we need 49 generations to fix up some of these things. The next 49 generations have been waiting for us to guide them and to help them. But they are here, and we have young ones in this room right now. They're here to remind us about what we have forgotten and where we lost our idealism, where we lost our hope, and where we lost our actions. Chief Seattle is one of my heart relatives. And he said in speaking to the settlers, we did not inherit this earth from our ancestors. We inherited it from our children. We live on our children's inheritance. It is our obligation to make sure we leave behind all the things that are necessary for them to have a good life. Clean water, clean energy, a grandma who can feed them, who's not poisoned, who can give them food that will nourish their bodies. We just returned from the reservation, from our highest holy ceremonies. It's called a Sundance. And it's a hard dance. It's about dancing for your prayers. It's about dancing and going to a place on the reservation where there's no running water, no electricity, just you and the earth. And within a day or two, you see cars, you see RVs, you see mostly tents. It all starts to fill up. People come from far away, different states, and we all gather together. And the whole purpose is to dance our prayers. Some people are picking up the thorns and cleaning up and pulling out, quote, the weeds, so that it's easier to dance. But within a short time, we are all together. No one has to tell anyone what to do. It's not you do this, do that. There's no hierarchy. It's about how do we do it? What needs to be done? So that the dancers can dance their prayers, so that the singers can sing their prayers, like we do here, we're singing the hymns, so that the supporters can support the people they come to support, so we can support the chief who comes. And this dance that we just finished has been a 16-year vision by one of the holy people who had a vision 16 years ago to dedicate dancing for international peace. You think have we done a good enough job? Do we still need to pray for that? What is going on this planet? Who is not listening? But the beauty of it was like the beauty with what we had with Ilya. We all just came together. And in that doing and busyness of creating prayer and praying every day and doing sweat lodges and being out in 107-degree heat and dancing and fasting with no food and water, the prayers are offered. We offer ourselves up because the only thing we own is this body. Everything else, just all our accoutrements that we all get, all the things we have, they're just things. So we give up our comfort for our prayers. And Howard Bandhan is the chief of that Sundance, and it was his vision that we all joined him to dance because we felt it was that important. Why is it that humans cannot evolve without war? What is going on in this trickster mind? What is going on in a world where the paradigm of power and greed becomes more important than the paradigm of peace and prayer and love? Miracles are everywhere we look, but we sometimes forget to see them. Every morning we wake up, we open our eyes. Wow, we're granted another day, another miracle. A new day to be alive, a new day to be of service. Every day we can create, in a moment of inspiration, communities of intention and service for the highest good of all. The need is everywhere we look. All of us listening here today, on Zoom, in the sanctuary, have homes or roofs over our heads. We have running water, we have heat, bathrooms. We, including ourselves, and all of us are people of privilege. Look how many people and how many hours and how many meetings it took to create this sanctuary. How big the dream had to be for this to materialize and be manifested. But it wasn't done without Creator's help. It was done by hearts that beat to that same dream that came together and gave countless hours. We challenge you to dream large. Pray for big miracles. Help us move our world from one of power and greed again to one of peace and prayer and love. Help us create a world where we all belong, without putting us in boxes. In 1864, Governor Evans signed a Colorado law into existence where the militia and the citizens were told that they should kill and destroy as the enemies of this country all hostile Indians, and they would receive no punishment. Their property was taken without compensation and their homes destroyed. Women and children were slaughtered. This eventually became known as the Sand Creek Massacre right here in Colorado. But there have been so many indigenous people fighting for so many years in Colorado to take this Colorado law off the books. And it was on the books until last year. Last year. Christine Yoshinga Itano from this congregation helped us and drove us so that we could attend the proclamation signing by Governor Polis, rescinding. He did it on August 17th, 2021. He rescinded Governor Evans' proclamation of 1864, taking off the books the right to kill indigenous people as the enemies of this country. You can't imagine how many people worked on that, seen and unseen, and how enormous the spiritual undertaking that was. As a result, the Southern and Northern Arapaho, the Cheyenne, and many tribes are now working together to agree upon, in collaboration, renaming Mount Evans. The Arapaho were known as the Blue Sky People, and the Cheyenne hold an annual renewal of life ceremony called the Blue Sky. Imagine the collaboration in the sacred circle of life that's being renewed as numerous people came together to create this miracle. Imagine that it took 157 years for this miracle to come to pass. But it did, because people had faith, because they believed no one could legislate their minds. They believed no one could own their thoughts. And they believed that there was something bigger and greater than themselves that would help them. And so it's been done. Can we come together as one sacred family of all living beings, believing we have no limitation but these minds? We leave you with one question. Are you willing to take your prayers into action, no matter how big or small? And so we would ask you to stand up, if you are able, at this time, and take your rightful place, showing and feeling creation, coming through your hearts, closing your eyes in whatever ways, big or small, to be seen, so that creation knows that you are willing to offer yourself. Creation and the great mystery asks that you hear their cries for the children, for all those in need, and for Grandmother Earth. Creation and great mystery have been waiting for you with open arms to welcome you in their hearts. And as you stand and as you close your eyes and as you offer yourself to be a beacon of light when you walk out of this sacred place, we ask that you pray. And while you're praying, we're going to do a vocable song so that you can feel Spirit in your heart. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, ho. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, 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 hey. Hey, ah, oh, Dakyase. That song that was just given to us, that we were just told to sing, is in honor of all those people who may be passing at this time and in transition, and to honor all those new little ones who may be coming, for them and their moms, so they can have a safe journey as they enter this place, and maybe someday get to be in this chapel. Oh, Takiasi. I don't know what we do next.
I just want to start by thanking Mary. I threw a 4-part round at her today, so thank you for leading that. I appreciate it. Thank you all for rolling with it. So for now, we're going to move into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing. If you're on Zoom and you would like to share a joy or concern, please type it into the chat window, sending it to everyone, and let us know what is in your heart briefly. I will read your Zoom chats, and Dr. Maria will put a stone in our sacred waters for you. If you're in the sanctuary today, you can come up front over here on your right side of our table here and add a stone to the waters. You can use the microphone to speak about your intention or your joy or concern. And we ask you to please keep your mask on when you share. You're also welcome to add a stone in silence. Wherever you are, please tell us your name and where you live when you share.
As in the hymn Rising Green, we are fashioned after the standstill people, the trees. We too are rooted in Grandmother Earth. They create miraculous elixirs in their bodies from the nourishment of Grandmother Earth. They reach out from their limbs freely to give us the breath of oxygen and the food that they create for us. We receive the nourishment from Grandmother Earth, and we may use it in our bodies like an elixir, so it not only keeps us and our bodies healthy, but so that we learn how to use that energy from Grandmother Earth to extend our right hand to serve and our left hand to receive. So we are very much like the standstill people. You think it's an accident? And if we grow roots, we can be that rooted in Grandmother Earth and that connected. That connected. I just want to check one thing. Yeah. So we'd like to say a prayer, another prayer, to send the spirits home with everything that you have in your hearts, spoken or unspoken, so that they may journey on and answer them in a good way. Your helpers and our helpers as well. Tonkashila, grandfathers, Unshi, grandmothers, Unshimaka, grandmother earth, Tonka Yates, stone nation, Petawaka, the sacred fire that burns within us and around on all the altars everywhere. We ask all the creepy crawlers, all the winged ones, all the ones that swim in the water, all the elements of air and light. We ask all the four-leggeds, all the two-leggeds, and we ask all other living beings to join us in this time to hear our deepest, heartfelt gratitude. Not only for being here and being together, all together in this place of prayer, but that you will watch over all of us everywhere in this world and in the galaxies beyond, because we are not the only living beings. Help us to be wider in our minds and our hearts, to understand that we are connected to everyone. Every thought, every heartbeat, every action, every feeling impacts another. Help us to remember that. Help us to create the change that's needed in this world so that everyone has the right to breathe. Everyone has the right to live in peace. Everyone has the right to have food. Everyone has the right to have a place to live and a roof over their heads. Everyone has a right for heat. Everyone has a right for electricity. Everyone has a right to live a life with dignity, with honor, with respect, with integrity, and to be treated in that way. We ask that you go into everyone's hearts in this very moment, in this sanctuary and on Zoom, and hear their prayers. Help their prayers to be manifested in their highest and best, in whatever way is needed for them. Help us all to remember that we want the same thing for our children, our grandchildren, and for the next 49 generations of all living beings. Help us to practice, to become one sacred family of all living beings, because if we don't learn how to do this, and we know we are slow in learning this, Creator, it will not be fair to those who come behind us after we are gone. So help us, for those of us who are here now all around this globe, help us to wake up. Help us to wake up in kind and gentle ways, and help Grandma in the ways that she needs to cleanse herself from the ways she has been abused at the hands of the two-leggeds. Help her to have the same rights that we ask for ourselves. Help us to remember her. We ask that you walk on the right side of us to help us remember how to extend a hand in service and in help. We ask that you walk on the left side of us to remember also how to receive, so we walk in balance. We ask that you walk behind us on the days that we have clarity of vision and heart, so that you can give us the strength that we need as we walk forward on our paths, on the road, on the journey. And when our dream is ready, we ask that you be the wind beneath our wings so that we can take off in flight with that dream and help it manifest. And on the days when we seem lost, when we're not sure of what the path is, we ask that you walk in front of us for as long as we need you to walk, until we remember, until our sight comes back, until our heartbeat gets stronger, so that you'll light the way so we can see the paths in front of us. And on the days when we are so exhausted, and depleted, we ask that you pick us up and carry us for as long as that needs to be, and that you will fill our fountains with the sacred water, minichoni, of life. Fill our fountains till they are so full that we also remember that as you place us down, as our feet gently touch the back of Grandmother Earth, that we become the fountains of the sacred water of life for others to come and drink. And help us to remember to take care of ourselves and leave a little water for ourselves to drink so that we can continue on the journey, whatever path and journey we're on, that we can do that with your grace, your kindness, and your love. Aho, mitakyas.
We hope that you have enjoyed today's service and the experience of participating with us. I'm segueing into a plug here for our first announcement. The service associate team needs volunteers. So if you would like to participate in that team, please contact myself, Reverend Lydia, or Karen Griglak, who's right up here. The History Colorado Museum is offering a seminar investigating the historical circumstances and continuing impacts of the Sand Creek Massacre, which Dr. Michael spoke of earlier, including Denver's role in the massacre and how contemporary Cheyenne and Arapaho people still feel its consequences today. If you're interested in participating in this workshop, it's coming up next Friday on the 19th from 9 to 1, and there's more information that's provided in the Zoom chat, or you can email me directly if you would like to. I encourage you to do that today because they're still accepting some more reservations, but it is this coming Friday, so you want to get that done as soon as possible if you're interested. No, it's at History Colorado. Mm-hmm. Today is the last day to submit poems for our August 28th poetry service. If you have a poem you'd like to submit, please email them to Larry Laverdure and or Eric Williams. The theme of the poetry service is From Sorrow and Strife to Joy. So hopefully the poems will be within that theme. Visitors and newcomers are invited to meet with our minister, Reverend Lydia, to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and BVUUF. We're going to gather at the Welcome Center in the foyer after the service next Sunday on August 21st. And then folks will move to a quieter place to speak. At this point, I'm going to invite Dr. Michael to come on up and speak about a resource drive for some Indigenous folks. Thank you.
Okay. We have been working the pandemic on the Dene Reservation since the pandemic started, and going back and forth. We've made about 15 trips with trucks and sometimes just cars, where we've brought blankets, warm jackets, boots, PPE, food, and anything you can imagine that could be used. We are still continuing that drive. It's now been renamed because the feeling is on the reservation is we don't want to give that word, the virus, power. So we don't use it anymore. So now we're calling it the Dene Ba, which means the people, the drive for the people. And we are starting that again, and we tend to go out in September and October before the winter. We have a website that you can look up, and I guess I'll figure out a way to get that in the chats and the information. But we also need volunteers. We need garages. Last year we did just in my garage alone, and it was kind of hard to live when the snow was on everything. So it would be nice if we had garages in different locations so that people could donate blankets, jackets, men's, women's, children's, anything that's warm. Most of the reservations, not just the Dene, have between 40 and 50% of the reservations do not have heat, electricity, or running water. The Dene reservation is especially in trouble because there was so much uranium mining done there that the EPA has decided it's too dangerous to clean it up, but they can all live there and drink the water. We're trying now to fight because there is water that is polluted with uranium, and many people, they're called the downwind. There's a whole area of the reservation where now there's the fourth generation of people that have leukemia and cancer and all kinds of diseases. So we would like and ask that if there is anything that you have, you can reach out to me. I'll find a way to give out my number and my email, and we're going to be putting it next door neighbor. We need people to also put it in their next door neighbors because spreading the word is the way to do this. And then we will raise money to rent a truck and drive it all the way to the Dene Reservation. We have two brothers there. One is in Shiprock and one is in Gallup. So we go to both areas. They're several hundred miles apart, so they reach different communities. And both brothers are still giving water runs. We actually bought 50 IBC 275-gallon water tanks that were placed around remote areas on the reservation. And they still have, and my brothers have 750-gallon water tanks, and after their jobs, they go and deliver water so that people can keep washing their hands and can drink. So it's something that's really near and dear to our heart. So if you have anything extra and you need to clean your house and you'd like to get rid of some used things that are still in excellent condition, we would most welcome it. Aho mitakiase. Okay, we have to extinguish the chalice next, right? Is that where we are? We extinguish the chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. So you get to hear another prayer. This is our favorite parts. How about we all stand, if we're able, together, so that while we're praying, you can also pray. So we can pray as one big we with all of creation to listen to whatever it is that's important to you, so that you not only listen to our words, they may not be important. What's in your heart is what's really important. Donkashila, grandfathers, Unchi grandmothers, Unchi Maka, grandmother earth, Miri Wichoni, sacred water of life, Donka Ayate, stone nation, Petawaka, the sacred fire that burns within us and all around the globe. We ask all the ones that swim in the water, all the creepy crawlers, all the four-leggeds, all the two-leggeds, all the winged ones, all the elements of air and light, all the standstill nation. We humbly stand before all creation, all living beings in all the galaxies, all the Star Nation people. We say, Wopilatanka, thank you. Thank you. Ahye, thank you. Thank you for the chance to be alive on this day. Thank you for the honor and the opportunity to have worked with Ilya and to make a new friend and to create this beautiful service with his graciousness and his patience. Thank you for the chance. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this chance for our breath. Thank you for this chance for our heart. And thank you for all of us for having bodies that are working as well as they are in this very moment. And for those who need help, we ask that you go to them and help them through their hard times, or whatever their fears and whatever their terrors might be. Please grandfathers, grandmothers. There's so much need on this planet. Help us to evolve in a better way so that we all have each other's backs. We all have each other's backs. There's more than enough abundance for everybody. We thank you for this honor. We thank Reverend Lydia for asking us to be here. And we thank this congregation for welcoming us and giving us the opportunity to speak. And for Ilya, for your graciousness. And the blessing of getting to know you. Aho mitakiasi. Oh. I gotta hug you.